everyone. Thanks for joining us for this virtual interview series. We are so excited to bring you a new industry professional every single week. So be sure and check our lineup to see who is next week. Today, we bring you a guest from the sports industry. We're so excited to talk with Brian. So Brian, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yeah. So can you just take a few minutes to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
Absolutely. As April said, my name is Brian Miles. I am the mental performance coach for the Cleveland Indians in Major League Baseball. We're actually soon to be the Cleveland Guardians, in case anyone's keeping up with sports. But yeah, my job is really to help sort of the mental and emotional development of professional baseball players. So I know that a lot of people recognize and understand that athletes, specifically in the professional world in baseball, spend a lot of time training their bodies and training their fundamental skills and their tactical skills. And what we've recognized in the sports industry, specifically in professional baseball, is this thing between our ears called our brain is actually a huge either inhibitor for a lot of professional baseball players or a huge plus for a lot of professional baseball players. And so my job is to help make sure that this thing between their ears is helping our players versus hindering them. And, I like to sometimes tell people I'm a strength and conditioning coach for your mind. And yeah, that's a little bit my role. I currently live in Cleveland, Ohio, with my wife and my daughter and soon to be son. And it's just been an absolute blast. Been doing this with the tribe for about 7 years now and having an absolute amazing time doing it.
I love that so much. I have to tell you, I was excited to talk to you today. Mental health is such a topic of discussion, especially in the sports world. And that's good. That's a good thing, right? So it's interesting to me to hear about what you do. And I think students will be very intrigued that this is a career path. So can you take me through what your normal day-to-day activities look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, we recognize the overall well-being of our players, and that's probably like a huge part of what we do. We have individuals that focus on performance of their players. We have individuals that focus on the mental health of our performance. I think I find myself sort of in that middle area, oftentimes helping refer our players to the right people and making sure that the people that they touch base with are qualified. And so my day to day, honestly, is relatively similar to what a professional baseball player goes through. I usually am around in the mornings because we typically have 7 or 8 o'clock games at night. I get to the ballpark, to the stadiums currently right now in Minnesota because we're playing the Minnesota Twins. So I sort of travel with our team wherever we go in the country. And, a lot of it is about being around the players and the staff. And so I find myself where they are. So if they're in the batting cages for some meetings or they're hitting, I find myself in the batting cages. If the coaches are eating lunch, I'm oftentimes eating lunch with them. When we're out on the field and the players are taking batting practice, I scurry and find my way out into the outfield, and I'm shagging batting practice with some of our pitchers and our coaches, and we're talking. And then obviously during the game, I'm in the dugout, and I think in that space, players really like to engage on sort of what's happening in the game at that time. And that's oftentimes a really good chance to help mentally with their performance for what they're trying to accomplish. So, the day to day a lot of times looks like what a baseball player goes through. It's super fun and exciting. There is lots of travel and lots of time zones, and it can get a little bit long. We play 162 games in 180 days. So it's a long year. We have 2 months of spring training. So our season really goes from February 1st to about October 1st. And it's a grind. So I can say that, but it's also really exciting because, when you talk about the on the field part, like, you're helping the players on the field be better performers. And then, like I said, we have people that are really capable and strong in the mental health side. So if a player or their family members or anybody is ever really struggling, I often find myself sort of being that liaison to the people that could help them with mental health, which we recognize is such an important part of the well-being holistic athlete.
That is amazing. I can imagine your job is super fulfilling, not to mention really cool.
It's definitely got its cool parts for sure. Sometimes getting home at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. from a flight across the country is I'm like, ooh, is this cool? I'm really tired right now, but it's definitely got. I will tell you this: when I walk out to different stadiums and different states and cities and stuff, I really do have a general appreciation for just that I get to be outside, that I get to like be just kind of in these like incredible places. So I've really tried never ever to take that for granted because it's such an incredible opportunity.
Oh, that's so cool to hear about. So I know that you don't just start out doing this. You don't wake up one day and decide, oh, I'm going to work with Major League Baseball players. So could you take us through your journey of where you got to, or how you got to where you are today from high school to now?
Absolutely. What I can say is I promise you, I never wanted to do this job ever before it came, like it sort of like came to me. So I think the most important thing is like, you don't need to know what you want to do. Like, I promise. I was like most high school seniors. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I was a high school soccer player, was super into soccer, was going to go play college soccer somewhere. Didn't know what I wanted to study. And then I took I was a pretty good student. I didn't take a lot of AP classes in high school. I took AP history, and then we offered AP psychology in the high school that I went to. And when I took this AP psychology class, I was just fascinated by it. It was like, man, there's all these reasons that we do a lot of these things, and it's not just because we do them. Like, there's stuff happening in our brain. Like, there's reasons why, and we learned about everything from like IQ to like why cults happen and people follow in cults to like Pavlov's dogs and like why we do what we do. And, it just was this fascinating sort of experience. And so, I ended up getting a chance to play soccer at a Division III school in New Jersey. It's called Montclair State University. I went there and played college soccer and decided to study psychology. And again, no clue what I want to do. I took tons of psychology classes. I took abnormal psychology and started learning about mental health. I took some psychology classes about sports. I took some psychology classes about adolescence, evolution. It was like, oh my gosh, there's like a lot of stuff here. This is fascinating. This is so interesting. And again, just like high school, I was getting to like my junior, senior year, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. Like, this is crazy, but I'm enjoying what I'm learning. And then, one of my academic advisors who helped the college athletes sort of schedule their classes and make sure that things were taken care of, she mentioned that there's this program that you can go into that sort of combines the mental performance and sports psychology world with athletics. And I was like, well, I'm an athlete. Like, that would be fun. That seems kind of cool. And so I applied for the master's program at Springfield College in Massachusetts. It's a master's of education program with a concentration in athletic counseling. So it's really about going and finding ways to counsel and help athletes be the best version of themselves on and off the field. And so I went to Springfield, and, just like high school and college, I was like, this is awesome. I still have no clue what I want to do, but like, this is very fun. This is exciting. And, I went there. So I did grad school for about 2 years. I worked with tons of athletes, and I worked in sports that I had never worked in before. Equestrian with like horse riders. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never done this before. Like football, basketball, field hockey, lacrosse. It was just this like fascinating culmination of experiences and opportunities to learn about new sports and so on. And so throughout that time, I had been going to some conferences and things like that. And through one of those conferences, I actually met some people that worked for the United States Army doing mental performance work, like helping soldiers be better tactical athletes, improving their physical fitness scores, improving and preparing themselves for certain qualifications they wanted to go to. And that really caught my eye. I was very interested in that. And so I got out of grad school, and like most people, I applied and lived with my parents for 3 months and waited and was like, what's going to happen? Ended up getting a job. And so I packed up my car and moved from Connecticut to El Paso, Texas, and worked for the Army for a couple of years. And so I worked at El Paso, Texas at Fort Bliss for about 2 years. And then I worked at Fort Drum in upstate New York for about 2 years, doing, mental performance work with soldiers, everything from developing like mental fitness obstacle courses where we combine physical fitness and mental fitness together to really try to like challenge soldiers. To at Fort Drum, I worked with the best ranger competition teams where we were preparing them for an 80-hour competition that we're going to go to, recognizing that was going to be very mentally taxing, and how are we going to prepare them for that opportunity. And then, like most people, everyone always asks me how I got the job in professional baseball. I'm going to be very real with you guys. I got a random phone call one time from somebody who just happened to have known somebody that I had worked with at the Army. And I'm sure April's had experiences where tons of people say that that's just how it works. Like, you actually never know the people that you're around that might help you like eventually find your dream job. And that's exactly what happened to me. The person who was working for the tribe used to work for the Army. She happened to have had some colleagues that I worked with unbeknownst to me. And when she reached out to those people and asked about, who's doing good stuff in the field, they happened to say me. And that led me to a job interview and a very long process and another move to Cleveland. And now we've been there for 7 years ever since. So that's a little bit of the journey.
I love so much that you shared that with us, because you're exactly right. You never know who the people around you are that could help you move to that next level. I think it's interesting to hear the journeys of professionals that we consider to be super successful and have these amazing careers that, you do have to start out in situations where you may not know exactly what you want to do. And I think there's a lot of pressure that's put on students at an early age of what you want to be when you grow up. So thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's very insightful.
Absolutely. I stand by that. You don't need to know. I promise. Like, in grad school, I changed my job like that I want to do 10 times. Like I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And what's cool is like, I explored all those avenues, and then I found this other cool thing and I did that. Like you don't have to find the perfect job right when you're out of college or right when you're out of high school or anything like that. Like, do what makes you happy and is exciting. And if that's it, great. And if not, don't be afraid to change. Like, that's okay.
Yes, don't be afraid to change. So I think this next question is perfect for you. What are some obstacles that you faced, and how have you overcome those obstacles? Being in mental performance, I'm sure you have some great strategies for this.
What's funny is, like, I will be honest with you, my wife sometimes rags on me for not practicing what I preach sometimes. So I don't know if she's going to see this, but I'll at least say that out loud. I'll be really, I feel like I've been pretty transparent with the group thus far, but I will say one of the initial obstacles that I faced actually out of grad school when I started working for the Army, the obstacle was myself. And so I think, when you go and get higher education, you get filled with all of this knowledge, and you are taught so much. And so I think you come out feeling like you have to show that. You have to show what I've learned. I have to show that I'm smart. I have to show that I can do this, and like I'm educated. And what happened was like my ego got completely in the way of being more of like a white belt mentality of really like leaning into feedback and like listening to others and listening more than I talk. And I think that obstacle really started to shape a little bit as I sort of realized that and overcame it, started to shape a little bit about how I view the world and view connecting with people and feeling more like I want to give more than I take, and I want to listen more than I talk. And that those experiences were really powerful for me. There are some soldiers out there who really taught me that I don't know that much and put me a little bit in check, which was phenomenal. I got some like pretty visceral feedback from certain people that in the moment was really hard to take. And I had like a physiological response to hearing that feedback. And the initial reaction was to like defend myself, right? Like your ego pops up and you want to defend, but you realize like I just broke down a ton of barriers by listening to that. And now like I like getting feedback, and I know it's hard for people. I know it's hard because it feels personal, but I've realized very quickly that 99% of feedback is not personal. It's about the performance, or it's about the behavior. And that's really shaped a lot of how I do work now. And it's, I'm so happy that I went through those experiences. It was incredibly hard during that time, because you just kind of question like yourself and your competency, and if you should be here, or like question the people that are giving you that feedback. But in reality, again, the number one thing I've learned in this world is like, it's not about me. It's just not. It's not about me. And it's like, it's never going to be about me. So like, don't make it about you, and make it about other people. And oftentimes when you make it about other people, the work goes really, really well. And so that's definitely a big obstacle I faced that was hard to get through, but it's been fun to kind of see it on the other end. I'm still working on all this.
Yeah. Students, I hope you're listening. This is such great advice. Being able to accept feedback and not take it personal and use it as professional and personal growth is incredibly important. So I'm sure all along your journey, especially working for such a long time in the sports industry and working with the military, you've probably discovered some career paths that you had no idea existed. And I think that's a challenge that students face, is they're just not sure about all of the opportunities that are out there. So could you share with us some of the careers that you've seen firsthand that maybe students don't know about?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I will say in the military world, I was not in the Army or anything like that. I was a government contractor. There are a lot of government contracting jobs that are absolutely fascinating. Like I said, the government is the number one employer of mental skills coaches in the United States. And so they contract out those jobs. And they also contract out a lot of other jobs, whether it's like HVAC and maintenance work, or they contract out like security. Like there's just tons of really unique opportunities in that world. And in the world of professional sports, I didn't realize like how important the analytics component to this world is. The amount of analysts that are being hired in professional baseball is astronomical. I mean, I'm talking about like tens of dozens every single year for every single team. And I think that, if you're interested in numbers and like unique theories and like why like certain things should happen and like the percentage of time that you should do, you would fit right in here with our whole front office. Like I never realized how important and how a lot of decisions are made based off of like statistics and understanding that. And so I want to say, like, if that's what you're interested in, great. I will also say, if you're not interested in that, which I'm not entirely interested in that, like there's a lot of different roles in learning and development too. So if you're somebody who's just like, I like to learn and I like to try to develop other people, and I want to help coaches be better coaches and make them think and question what they're doing. And I know that sounds like slightly ambiguous, but that's exactly what it is. We've hired a lot of different people to help with our learning and development. So how we actually help our coaches be better coaches, how we help our front office members be better front office members. And their entire job is to go out and read books and then talk to the author of those books, and to go to different organizations and be like, hi, Navy SEALs, like, why are you guys such a good team? And hi, Brooklyn Nets, like, why are you guys such a good team? And like, go, hi, like England rugby, like, why are you guys such a good team? So they get to go out and learn about the best teams in the world and then try to make our team better. So there's just, trust me, there's a lot, but I think those are some of the more fascinating, interesting ones that I've learned over the course of time.
That is incredibly fascinating. I've literally never even thought about how that could be a career path. But yeah, I mean, if you love to read and talk to people, and there's so many students out there that truly do love to learn, that could be an awesome job for you in the future.
Absolutely. More learning. It's great.
Yes, yes. So what is something that you wish you would have learned at a younger age?
There's probably a lot of things that I wish I would have learned at a younger age. I mean, I know I already said, like, I think the first thing is, like, you don't have to have it all figured out. It's probably the first one. I would say the second one is, I'm just going to say three. You don't have to know everything. Like, you don't have to have your plan set up. The second one would be say yes to everything. So, like, just say yes, honestly. Like, if I hadn't done that in grad school, I don't think I'd be where I am now. But, like, I knew nothing about equestrian. I didn't know what horses, like, how horses work. I didn't know scoring or anything. But when I got asked if I wanted to work with that team, I said yes. And I think it like really helped shape and push me out of my comfort zone. And I think when you say yes to everything, it pushes you out of your comfort zone, and it makes you realize that you can actually expand like your capacity of what you're capable of by doing that, because you're pushing yourself more and more. And then the third one, I'm sure you probably get this a lot, but like it doesn't matter what other people think about you. I listen, I know when you're young, it feels like it. And I was literally the exact same way as you. Like I really did care. I cared a lot. I cared about what I looked like. I cared about what I was wearing. I cared about what music I was listening to because I felt like I had to fit in. And I just look back on it now and it really doesn't matter. Like if you are happy with who you are and like you're doing the right things and you're doing the things that you want to do for the right reasons, you have a really strong support system. Like that is what matters. And I know this is gonna potentially fall. I know it's hard, but like it doesn't matter, honestly. It's like just be you and like be the absolute best version of you. And I promise you that'll get you way further than like doing the things to like make everyone else happy.
Yes, I love that. I love that so much. And you're exactly right. Saying yes to opportunities that might scare you, that's where you grow the most. So
Mhm.
great advice for students. So I have one more question for you, and then we're going to open it up to questions from students. But my last question is, if there's students out there that are interested in maybe pursuing this type of career, what actionable advice do you have for them? Like, what's something they could do today while they're still in high school to, move towards that direction?
Absolutely. I would say probably the first thing is the Association of Applied Sports Psychology, AASP, has a website, and that website has a ton of information on it for whether you're in high school, college. It provides you a lot of information about different like colleges and grad schools that have sport and performance psychology, mental performance, graduate programs. I think that it gives you a little bit more of an insight into what the field is. It talks through the certification that we get. So you end up getting certified. It's called the CMPC, a Certified Mental Performance Consultant, and that'll give you a ton of information. I would say too, if you're really interested, I'm sure a lot of you kids have social media. So like go out on social media and try to follow some people that are in this world, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram. But if you type in mental performance coach, like Instagram or Twitter, a lot of people will pop up. I'll give a shout out. Justin Sua from the Tampa Bay Rays is like one of the best follows on Instagram and Twitter. And Lauren Johnson is another phenomenal one. She's the mental skills coach for the Yankees. She's really good. I have Twitter, so if you're into that, I only post things on there about mental performance. But I think just like you guys are on social media probably every day, so it's like not the worst thing to maybe pick up on some mental skills things throughout the time too, and maybe do a little scrolling.
Yes, and we'll be sure and link those things in the description so that
Awesome.
students can have an easy way to access those. So a couple of questions that we have from students is, what is the most common problem that you see professional athletes struggle with mentally?
That is a phenomenal question, and I actually do get asked this quite a bit. I would say, and I know what, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is potentially a problem that whoever's watching this experiences, maybe April and myself as well. But the biggest thing that I think athletes struggle with is being in the present moment. And so I think in baseball that lends itself really well to them because like the game of baseball is really slow. I was a soccer player. Like the game was fast. We moved, we ran. It was over in 90 minutes. We are like, sweet, let's get out of here. Baseball, there's no time. There's like no time limit on it. It can be very slow, lots of changes, pitching, hitting, so on. And so, in between each pitch, it's sometimes 30 to 40 seconds. And so that leaves a lot of time for your brain to think about either what just happened or what's going to happen. And what's interesting is this: we can't change the past and we can't predict the future, but we can like truly influence the here and now. And I think actually that's so important. I'm going to say it again, is that we can't change the past and we can't predict the future, but like right here, right now is always an influence. And so for a lot of guys, when, a pitch goes by that they feel like they should have hit, they are very fixated for that 30 or 40 seconds on the pitch that just happened in the past, right? That they can't change. And then what happens is the next pitch comes in and they're still thinking about what happened. And they literally, they can't hit a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, round ball with a round bat when you're not focused on the present moment. And so the biggest things that we're talking to them about is how we can really be in the here and the now. And I think that translates so real to students too. It's like, whether it's you ask a question and you feel like, oh, like, I don't know if I answered that well or what. And it's like, then you're so fixated on the past, you can't change it. And it's like, are you missing the rest of the instruction that you're getting that day or that time? I remember when I used to take tests, like I would like answer a question. And then like for the next 3 questions, I'd be thinking about if I answered that correctly. And it's like, I'm not even paying attention to the 3 questions that I just answered there. I'm like, what am I doing? Like you can always go back and look. And I think the more chances we have to be where our feet are, to be in the present moment, I swear, I'm not old, guys. I swear I'm not old, but put your cell phones down for a little bit. Like if you're having dinner, just have dinner, like be there having dinner. If you're out on a date, just be out on a date. If you're watching a movie, just watch a movie. If you're going for a walk with your dog, just go for a walk with your dog. Like just do those things. And I think that's where we make like a lot of, we make a lot of growth in like who we are and understanding ourselves just by being where our feet are.
I mean, that's such good advice for literally any person in the world. I love it.
Awesome.
So the next question is, I know you work in the sports industry, but are there opportunities for mental performance coaches in music and entertainment?
That answer is yes, there are. I think this world is starting to expand a lot. And I think, again, when we talk about this, it's not like professional athlete, it's performer, right? It's like, who's a high performer? And I've realized that, I've done some work with corporate America where like CEOs and vice presidents are like really struggling to kind of work through different components of their role and their job, and they're performers. Musicians, artists, actors, actresses are performers. One of the guys that I mentioned previously about following, he did a lot of consulting work with the WWE. Like those wrestlers are performers. People that are in the rodeo, they're performers. Like all of those folks have a stage, whatever that stage is, and they have to step up and go and perform at their best on that stage. Typically, there is a massive cognitive component to that. And I think that that's where mental performance lends itself. It's really fascinating. Like, are there sports and things that, are slow? Like, yeah, golf and like tennis and baseball are very slow. So there's a lot of mental performance coaches in that world. But I promise you, if it requires you to step out on that stage, whatever that may be for you, there's roles and opportunities there. And I think I can easily see some of the students watching this paving the way into the music industry and into the movie industry for sure.
Yeah. So I love this next question. It says, I've never considered a career in mental performance or mental health, but it sounds very interesting. How do I know if it would be a good fit for me?
That is a great question. I've really tried to like deduce what my job is. And I've actually I've said this to a few people, and now I'm going to say it on a camera to a bunch of people I don't know, but I'll be honest with you. There's days where I'm like, am I actually doing anything? Like, it feels like, what am I doing? Right? Like, how do I know if I'm doing well? And what I've realized is I've worked with the Cleveland Indians for 7 years. Like, I've put a massive amount of equity into relationships for 7 years. If you like to build relationships, like if you like being around people, if you like talking and listening to people, and if you like hearing about things that are going on that are hard for other people, and here's the important part, and helping them figure out their answers, not give them answers, helping them find their own answers. If that's what you're into, if you're the friend that everyone comes to when they've got problems, and you're helping to sort of like guide them and solve them and ask other questions, things like that, you're probably the person that would be phenomenal for this. Because this in job, like, while there are competencies in sports psychology and understanding theory, no doubt you have to have that, but the soft skills of this job are by far the most important. You can teach hard skills of theory and content and stuff like that. You can't teach, let me rephrase that. You can teach soft skills, but if you have them a little bit more naturally, it's oftentimes like a really nice, easy, fun way to transition into this world. And I think if that's what you're into, if building relationships and maintaining them over the course of time is something you dig, I think that you'd be phenomenal at this job.
I have no doubt there's students listening that their wheels are turning. They're thinking about what their future is going to be like. So thank you so much for sharing. We have one more question and then we're going to wrap it up. But the question is, do you get to hang out with the professional athletes? And I think you might have mentioned that a little bit earlier. So, I mean, are you friends with these guys?
So I try to maintain a slight professional balance. But the fact of the matter is like, you are around these guys for the entirety of the season. It's 162 days and then plus another 60 days of spring training. And you're talking to them about tons of things. So like you share just as much as probably they share. So like they know about my family and like they and like they know that I like to play video games when we're on the road. And so some of them will challenge me to play video games and I kick their butt. And like we talk about just like real life stuff and fun things and funny things. And I'm with them all the time. And like when my daughter comes to the field, like they like know her and they hug her and like play with her. And it's just a really cool opportunity to understand that these guys they're just that, like they're people and they're humans and like they've got families and they've got like relationship issues and they've got like struggles with other things that are like not the baseball world. And so, yeah, we do get to hang and kick it. They get a kick out of me, going out there trying to like play baseball. And I have brought a soccer ball into the mix and had them juggle a ball a couple of times to, humble them a little bit and show that I'm still an athlete, even at the age of 34. And so, and I wear shirts like this that say attitude is free, just so that they can, remember like who I am, my role and stuff. But yeah, we get to hang and kick it with the boys and it's a lot of fun. So yes, you do get to hang out with the athletes when you get into this role. And it's not why I got into it, but it's certainly fun.
Yeah. Well, Brian, is there any last words of wisdom that you want to leave with our students today?
I mean, I did just show you my shirt. So like, I want to tell you about a couple of free things. I think attitude is free. I think humility is free. I think giving is free. And last but not least, is my absolute favorite, but hunting the good stuff is free. I think that this world is just filled with negativity. And it's the deal is like, the world's actually not negative. I promise you. I promise it's not negative. It's just that our brain has this bias that helps where like we wait and remember all the negative things more. And that was built for survival like 20,000 years ago. And unfortunately that bias is still there. So I promise you, like you can hunt and find the good stuff in every single day. It doesn't have to be these grandiose things. It doesn't. It can be like, I know you guys are high school students, but for me, it's like that first sip of coffee. That is a good thing for me each day. And I love it. Like waking my daughter up in the morning is like literally the best thing that can happen to me. Hitting all green lights on the way to work, awesome. Like just having a really good conversation, really good thing. So all I'm saying is that you can hunt those good things every single day, and that is entirely free. But what it will also do is it'll drastically change the relationships and connections that you have with other people, and it'll drastically change how you view the world. And I think like low key, you guys are the future of the world. So I would really prefer if you were seeing the optimism and gratitude in it more than the bad. So that's my last bit of advice.
Oh, it's so good. And I cannot think of a better note to end on. So Brian, thank you for being with us. Thanks to all the students that tuned in and wanting to grow personally and professionally. We'll have a new industry professional next week, so be sure and check back. You guys have a great week.